The rain had been falling for 3 days when Lyle arrived at the old inn on the outskirts of Delmere. The road had turned to mud miles back, and the surrounding forest leaned in on the narrow path like it was trying to reclaim it. He'd driven slowly, windshield wipers struggling against the sheets of water, headlights flickering with every turn. The sign outside was so weather-worn he almost missed it. The Stillwell House, Est 1886. A single lamp burned in the window, yellow, weak, but enough. Lyle parked, grabbed his suitcase, and jogged through the downpour to the porch. The wood creaked beneath his boots, swollen from the weather. He raised a hand to knock, but the door opened before he touched it. An old woman stood there, small, wiry, with silver hair pinned neatly behind her head. Her eyes were pale and clouded, but they fixed on him sharply. "Evening," she said. "You're Lyle?" He nodded. "I called earlier." "I know. I heard it ring." She turned and walked inside, leaving the door open. Lyle followed. The lobby was dimly lit, the wallpaper yellowed and curling at the edges. A grandfather clock stood silent in the corner. The air smelled like dried flowers and damp stone. She gestured to the counter. "Sign the book." He opened the guest ledger. The last name had been signed 3 years ago. "Not a popular destination?" he asked, half joking. "We get enough," she replied. He scribbled his name. She handed him a key. Brass, cold, with the number 3 etched into it. "Upstairs, 3rd door on the left." "Thanks, sir. What's your name?" "I've had too many. You can just call me Keeper." Lyle blinked. "Okay." She smiled without teeth. He climbed the stairs, his footsteps echoing. The hallway stretched longer than it should have. The shadows moved a little when he wasn't looking directly at them. Room 3 was unlocked, though the key turned in the knob anyway. The room was simple. A bed, a dresser, a wash basin. The window overlooked the woods, but the glass was fogged from the inside. Lyle set down his suitcase, shrugged off his coat, and sat on the bed. The mattress groaned like something exhaling beneath him. He stood again. From downstairs came a muffled voice. A man's. "Don't let it out." Then silence. Lyle crept back to the hallway, listening. Nothing. He leaned over the banister. The lobby was empty. No sign of the keeper. No voices. Only the ticking of the grandfather clock, which had not ticked before. He went back to the room. Shut the door. Turned the lock. The rain pressed harder against the window, as if trying to get in. He lay down and turned off the lamp. The silence was heavier than darkness. At some point he drifted off. He awoke to whispering, faint. Right beside his ear, he bolted upright. The room was cold, the window wide open, curtains soaked and flapping in the wind. He moved to shut it. The woods were gone. In their place was water, black, endless, with ripples that didn't match the wind. Floating in the center was a shape. A door. Upright, wooden, slightly ajar. From within it came a soft creak. Then a shadow moved across the open crack. Lyle stumbled back. The window slammed shut on its own. He turned. A figure sat on the bed. Not the keeper. A man, maybe. Pale. Eyes black and mouthless. It raised a hand, pointed to the hallway. Lyle fled. The hallway was longer now. Endless. Doors on either side, each slightly open. He passed one. Inside, himself, standing, staring into a mirror that had no reflection. The next, his father, long dead, whispering into a phone that didn't ring. The next, a woman he had never seen before, writing names in blood on the wall. His name was the last. He ran. The hallway looped. He passed his room again. The door was open. Inside, the bed was empty. The mirror above the dresser had cracked. The water from the window had begun to pour into the carpet. He stepped back. The keeper stood at the end of the hall now. "You opened the window," she said. I didn't mean to." "No one ever does." "What is this place?" She tilted her head. "It listens, it shows, it keeps." He stepped toward her. "I want to leave. You should have come during spring. It sleeps in spring." "What does?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "The door." Behind her, the staircase led downward into dark. He tried to run past her, but she moved faster than she should have been able to. Her hand caught his arm. Her grip was ice and iron. "You were invited, Lyle." "I never got an invitation." "Did you check your dreams?" She let go. He fled down the stairs. The lobby was a ruin now, flooded, cold, covered in ivy that moved like snakes. The front door was gone. Only a wall stood there now, covered in scribbled names. He recognized his mother's and his sister's. He turned. The grandfather clock stood open. Inside, stairs descended into water. He hesitated, then stepped in. Each step echoed, though no walls enclosed him. He walked until the water reached his knees, then his waist, then his chest. The door floated ahead of him again, glowing faintly. He reached for the knob. The keeper's voice echoed all around. Once you touch it, it remembers. He turned the knob. The door swung open. On the other side was a room, his childhood bedroom. Perfect. Still. The bed made. The toy chest closed. He stepped inside. Rain tapped against the window. His reflection sat in the chair by the desk. Writing. It looked up, smiled. "You're back." Lyle opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. The door behind him closed. The light dimmed. Outside, the woods returned. The rain softened. Stillwell House waited. The scratching began as soon as the door clicked shut. It was faint at first, like the rustle of paper, the shifting of dust. But it grew louder, more deliberate. Lyle stood in the middle of the room, watching the reflection in the desk chair. His doppelganger kept writing, quill gliding over parchment that seemed to bleed instead of stain. "You'll get used to the sound," the reflection said without turning. Lyle stepped closer. "What are you writing?" The reflection paused, tilted its head. "Stories." "Whose?" "All of ours, everyone who steps through." Lyle swallowed. "And if I stop?" The reflection finally turned to look at him. Its face was his, but drained, like it hadn't seen sunlight in years. The eyes were dull, the smile flat. "You don't stop, you just become a chapter." The scratching sound grew louder. It was coming from beneath the bed. Lyle turned slowly. A single slip of parchment slid out from under the bed frame. Then another. Then dozens. All covered in writing. Some in ink, some in something darker. The letters shifted on the page, moving, rearranging. One floated toward him, carried by no breeze. It landed at his feet. "Do not read your own ending." He backed away. The reflection stood. "You came back because part of you remembered, even if you didn't want to. The house doesn't let go easily." "I never left," Lyle said quietly. "No," the reflection agreed. "Only your body did." There was a soft click. The toy chest creaked open. Lyle spun to face it. Inside was darkness, not the absence of light, but something solid. Pressing, breathing. And from within it a sound, wet, guttural breathing, like lungs dragging across gravel. Lyle stepped back. The darkness reached up, long tendrils of shadow, not smoke, not cloth, but something alive. They curled around the edge of the chest, testing the air, tasting it. The reflection didn't move. "She's awake," it whispered. Lyle bolted for the door. It was gone. In its place stood a tall mirror. In the mirror, a hallway he didn't recognize. Stone walls, candles dripping upward. He saw himself running through it. No, not running. Searching, calling out a name. He leaned closer. The mirror rippled. Then he was pulled through. No time to scream, no sensation of falling, just arrival. The hallway swallowed him. Cold air rushed around his ankles. The corridor was too narrow. The walls felt close, like the inside of a throat. The candles hissed in their sconces, casting shadows that leaned toward him as he passed. Each door he passed bore a single word. Regret, denial, forget, return. The last door opened on its own. Inside, a child sat on a bed. His sister, 8 years old, legs swinging. She looked up, eyes empty. "Why didn't you pull me out?" she asked. Lyle's voice broke. "I tried. I was just a kid." She stared at him, unblinking. "You left the window open." He remembered the fire, the smoke, the screams. He had run. That window had slammed shut behind him. "I couldn't," he choked, but she was already gone. The room dissolved. He stood now in a spiral staircase, descending forever. Each step he took, the air thickened. He heard whispers. His name, distorted, drawn out like a warning and a summons. Leal. At the base of the stairs, a great door waited, larger than any before, carved entirely from bone, inlaid with dozens of human teeth along the edges. Something moved behind it. The door didn't open, it unfolded. Beyond was the chapel, black stone pews, a shattered pulpit, candles floating mid-air. At the altar stood the keeper, no longer old, no longer small, tall, thin, eyes like twin eclipses. She gestured to the pews. "You've remembered enough to join the service." "I want to leave," Lyle whispered. "There is no leaving," she replied. "Only remembering." From the darkness behind the altar came figures, all versions of him. All different ages, all wearing his face. They filled the pews, silent and watching. Each held a slip of paper. The one in front of him turned it over. His name, his date of death. Today. He turned to run. But the floor wasn't there anymore. He fell, down, deeper. No air, no light, until the sound of pages flipping and a woman's voice reading. And Lyle stood again, blinking in the yellow light of the Stillwell House lobby. His eyes snapped open. He was there, alone, dry. The inn looked normal. The clock ticked quietly, the fire crackled, but he didn't feel normal. His hands trembled. There was ink beneath his nails. He turned. On the desk behind him, the guest ledger sat open. Next to it, a mirror. Small, handheld. He picked it up. His reflection smiled first. He did not. From the kitchen, the door creaked. A guest entered. Young woman, rain-soaked, eyes wide. "I called earlier," she said. Lyle nodded slowly. "I know," he said. "I heard it ring."